Garage Bar Sports here with you to preview the West Virginia TCU game this weekend. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff night game, second Big 12 game of the season, first road Big 12 game. Jared, let's go through our keys to the game. My number one key, I think, that's going to have the most material impact on who wins and loses this one, who plays quarterback for West Virginia. I think Nico Markiel has done a really good job in the largely 2 games he's played. He played all but 6 snaps in the Pitt game. He won both those games. But there have been some signs that suggest he may not quite be ready to be the starter. And I think it's become clear as he's played, notwithstanding he's played pretty well in 1 games, why Garrett Green won that job. Nico, for example, had Hudson Clement wide open on an 80-plus yard touchdown in last week's Texas Tech game and just didn't see him until very late and then underthrew him. And it's that type of thing that I think will come with experience, but Markiel doesn't quite have right now. So I think West Virginia has a much better chance to be in the game in the fourth quarter if Garrett Green plays. And it sounds like, from what we're hearing around the team, that Green is practicing. And Neil said tonight on his pregame weekly call-in show, the Neil Brown show, that it's going to be a game time decision, but I would imagine if Green's practicing, then he's likely to play. So let's hope that happens. What do you think, Jarrett?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, when I take a look at it, you can only survive so long throwing for under 100 yards and winning ball games. And you've done it at home, and now you're going on the road. So I'm going to take a little bit different angle for key to the game too. And how does our defensive line hold up against their offensive line? Because their offense has been explosive, even in that first game against Colorado and Coach Prime to start the season, where basically the element of surprise won Colorado that game. I mean, it got kind of fluky there at times toward the end. And I still think that if TCU plays that game 10 times, they win 8 of them, but they lost the one that they played. So I think Chandler Morris, the quarterback from originally goes to Oklahoma, transfers to TCU, is off to a hot start. And this offense has been pretty good. They put up 34 last week. They kind of jumped on SMU early and never really looked back. And I think the defensive line,
he's athletic.
He can. He's got some wheels. And he's got a heck of a running back standing next to him too, or right behind him. So, I think the defensive line matchup, you're going to have to get pressure on him. You're going to have to keep him in the pocket, and then you're fully reliant on where your defensive backs are. So, which the defenses looked a lot better against a couple offenses here over the last couple of weeks, or really last 3 weeks, last 2 specifically against Power 5 opponents. So what do you got for key 3, and how do you feel about the defensive line?
Yeah, so I think West Virginia's defensive line is going to be one of the keys to the game too. That wasn't my key, but totally agree with you. I think the D-line is going to have to step it up. TCU likes to run the ball, from what I've read and poking around on their fan message boards. And I haven't watched a lot of game tape from their games this season. We watched a lot of that Colorado game, the first game of the year. Their offense isn't exactly, and they have the second best passer in the league in terms of yardage and the number 1 rusher. So they've been moving the ball fine, better than West Virginia has, certainly. But I think their fans are wanting them to put a complete game together. To do that, they're at home. They're probably going to try to rely on the run a little bit, I think, notwithstanding West Virginia showed some weaknesses in the pass defense early in the year. But I think they've shored that up at least the last couple of games. And so it wouldn't surprise me if TCU came out trying to run the ball. Neil said during his weekly press conference that Kendall Briles is an OC that, unlike some of these other air raid guys, and he does come from an air raid background, he's going to focus on running the ball. So that's going to be key, not only getting pressure on their quarterback, but also being able to stop the run. And West Virginia's D-line has looked good so far. I watched a couple of pregame shows with Sonny Dykes. And that's come up a couple of different times. He's been impressed with the D-line. We look like a typical West Virginia defense. And with the Sills brothers last couple of years, they put together a good D-line. So I think they'll play well.
Right.
My third key to the game, and I'll finally get to it, is just how well West Virginia does on the road. I think the Penn State game, they handled the crowd fantastically. You're not going to get that type of crowd in Fort Worth, which is typically a little bit more of a wine and cheese affair down there. They usually don't fill the stadium totally up. They have fewer lower level seats. They have a lot of club seats, and then a lot of their general public sits in the upper deck. And so it's not going to be a hugely raucous environment, but it is going to be an away game.
Right.
Coming off of a 3-game win streak. How are you going to be able to handle that atmosphere, the travel? Neil's teams a couple years ago struggled on the road. They started to turn that around a little bit last year at the end of the season. So hopefully we go in there unfazed and play well. We'll see though. It's going to be a different atmosphere than in Mountaineer Field. So they're going to have to hopefully the team is up to the challenge.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch. It's this Saturday night, 8:00 Eastern. Another night game on the road at TCU. How do the Mountaineers handle that environment?
Let's go
Let's
Mountaineers.
go Mountaineers.